and welcome back to my channel. My name is Holly. This is She Reads. Today we're going to be talking about the books that I wish I would have had time to read in 2019, and there is a couple on this list, and most of them are actually part of series, which is interesting because when I first started my booktube channel I didn't really read a lot of series, and now it seems like I'm reading more and more series. It also seems like people aren't really writing that many standalone books anymore. It seems like everybody is writing a series, which is, again, interesting. Anyways, to jump right into the video, the first book or books that I wish I would have read in 2019 is Maggie Stiefvater's The Raven Cycle. So The Raven Boys and the following series, which I believe there's 4 books. I have them all. And yeah, I really wish that I would have been able to get to this one. There's been so much hype about this, and this is already getting to be an older book, I think. What, 2017? I mean, it's not old, but let's see. 2012. So yeah, I mean, it's already getting to be an older book, but there's been so much hype about this series on booktube, and this is a lot of people's favorite series, so I'm definitely interested in it for sure. And I really wish that I would have been able to get through not only one but the entire series this year. So this is going to be for sure a priority for me in the coming new year. The next book is Ransom Riggs, A Map of Days, and this is the final book in the Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children series, which I absolutely loved. This one is chunky for sure, and I believe that this was an add-on book. I think that there was only originally supposed to be 3 books, so I'm not sure how he managed to add on a 4th book, because if I can remember correctly, I think he pretty much tied up any loose ends. So I'm definitely interested to see how he adds on a 4th book. But the reason why I didn't end up getting to this one is because I think I'm going to have to read the series over again in order to read this one. Yeah. Oh, and you know what? I just looked. Are the pictures in color in this one? Am I crazy? They are, kind of. No, they're not. No, they're not. It's on blue pages. That's why I thought that it's in color, but no, it's not. It's on a blue background. Okay, anyways. Yeah, I think I'm going to have to probably reread the series over again, because I have this horrible thing where after I read a book, sometimes I don't remember fully what happens. So it's been so long since I read these that I don't remember fully what happened in the rest of the books. I'm pretty sure I remember most of what happened in the first one, but I don't really remember the next 2. So yeah, I'm gonna probably have to reread the first 3. And so, I mean, when I have so many books on my TBR that I want to get to, it's so hard for me to decide to reread a complete series. You know what I mean? So we'll see where this one ends up falling in my TBR in January. The next book is Harper Lee's Go Set a Watchman, and I really wanted to read this one because I finally read To Kill a Mockingbird for the first time this year. I read it in the summertime and I absolutely loved it, so I really did want to get to the next book, but of course I just didn't find the time. This year seemed to just fly by so quickly. It was scary. So this one's also going to be a high priority for me next year. I definitely want to get this one read. I don't want to wait as long to read the sequel as I did to read the original book. So the next couple of books are just examples of books that I wish I would have read, and that is Andrew Cleven's Werewolf Cop, and The Curse of Jacob Tracy by Holly Messinger. And these are just kind of examples of 2 books that I wish I would have read, because what I wish I would have read was more books that I tried in my try a chapter tag videos that I did this year. So I did a couple of those videos, and this is why I'm so annoying. Like, I just get so annoyed with myself. I did those videos thinking, okay, these are books that I don't think that I'm going to want to keep. I ended up keeping almost all of them because the first chapter, something about the first chapter made me want to continue reading them, yet I have not read any of them. So they're just sitting on my shelves, unread. That's where I get so annoyed with myself, because I'm like, okay, if you're gonna read them, then read them. You know, like, don't just leave them sitting there forever. So I definitely want to knock off a bunch of books off of my TBR this year. I did read one of them. Hang on, let me go get it. I did try reading one of them. This is The Deadlands by Benjamin Percy, and I got probably a quarter of the way through it, maybe. Yeah, probably about a third of the way into it, and I was having such a hard time deciding whether or not to DNF it because it wasn't bad. It was different than something that I normally pick up. This is more of like a dystopian, this is like after the world has ended type of book, you know? It almost reminded me of The Walking Dead a little bit, minus the zombies. My God. Minus the zombies, but just like the whole trying to, you know, cultivate a life after basically the apocalypse. And that's not something that I typically read. I love watching The Walking Dead, but I don't typically read books like that. And so I felt as though I was really trying to force myself into liking something that I just wasn't gonna like, no matter how good the book was. So I ended up DNFing this one. I had a hard time doing it. I was talking to Elaine about it, and she kind of convinced me to just go ahead and DNF it. Like, if you're not excited about it, this book is, I think, 500 pages, 500 and some pages. So, you know, if you're not excited about it, just move on to something else, which is typically my rule, but sometimes we need to be reminded of our own rules. So I ended up DNFing this one and got it at least off my TBR. But I wish I would have read more of those off of those videos, because I feel like I would have probably DNF'd more of them and I would have less on my TBR going into the new year. The last book that we are going to talk about today is also once again part of a series, and that is Leigh Bardugo's Six of Crows. And once again, this is the same as the Raven Cycle. I've just heard so many good things about this series that I just really want to pick it up. I just have not found the time yet. There's so many new series. I mean, these aren't even new, but there's so many new to me series that I haven't read yet that I just can't prioritize them all. I'm just like, there's too many, and I don't want to start reading too many series at once, because sometimes, like, I don't really like to read a series back to back to back, although I probably should, because sometimes I forget what happens in the first one, and then by the time I get to the second one, I'm like, what happened again? So I probably should read them back to back, but I can't focus on characters and storylines for that long. So, you know, especially if it's like a 4-book series or something like that, after book 1, maybe book 2, I'm typically ready to move on to something else, read something else for a little while, and then come back. So I don't want to start too many series and then start having all of the plots crisscrossing in my mind, because that's who I am as a person and I can't keep things straight. Well, you guys, those are some of the books that I wish I would have been able to get to in 2019, but just didn't have enough time. So hopefully I'm going to be able to get to all of those in 2020, and I'm really hoping to have a really great reading year in 2020. Let me know in the comments down below what books you wish you would have read in 2019. I hope you guys are having an awesome day and happy holidays. I will see you in my next video. Bye!